Hello, thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for being in the camp. We're going to do some things and address the rhythm section. In the other view, I have Jason Edmond on bass, and then we got Zach Morrow on drums. This is the trio that I play with, We the People, all the time, and just wanted to share some things that we think about when we accompany. Today we'll be, or just even playing trio. Today we're playing trio opposed to quartet. Um, Things operate a little bit differently this way, but we'll try our best to give you some great tips and everything to think about. Let's start with like just the. I like to just think about before we even start playing, like the roles of these instruments. Um, I think about the bass, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like thinking about the bass as the canvas keeper, or we were. You're not old enough to remember this, but maybe you've seen this. I'm not even old enough to remember, but I've seen it in my childhood. Those old Looney Tune commercials, where or like cartoons where it's like black and white. Mickey Mouse is like rolling or walking straight, and then the canvas is all this stuff is going on behind him, and like he's just going in a line, but everything is moving. Trees are blowing by, and he's hopping over things. I think about the bass as that background. It's always moving. It's always walking. It keeps him going. Mickey Mouse. Like, so then who is Mickey? Mickey is the soloist. The person who the spotlight's on at the time. He can do whatever he wants, but he has to adjust and move around to the other things that are coming in his way. I also think so. Then I think about the piano and the drums as the color of the not even the color, but the objects. The trees in the background, the thing that makes time feel good, the thing that keeps the harmony and other things interesting for the soloist to adhere to, while giving a nice little cushion for the soloist to like ride on, either playing the melody or even just like soloing. And so, to me, time is in the bass. He's walking, especially if we're walking. He's walking, and then everything else is to make that feel good and to give it perpetual motion and to keep things like interesting for the listener and the soloist. So I just want to start there. So the roles of piano, bass, and drums. So like what happens when you add guitar? Guitar is another, I like piano, rhythmic harmonic instrument. And so those two instruments, guitar and piano, need to just kind of focus on each other and like adhere to the soloist with by also like while also keep creating a lane for each other and not getting in the way. That's we don't have a guitar here, so but that's kind of how I think about that. Just doing different things. Um, Let me see, and yeah, so we're gonna just simulate a swing. I'll swing a little bit. I'll play the melody. We'll do something like until you can hear just like the different ways of we're communicating. I think the most important thing about the rhythm section, a good rhythm section, are great communicators to themselves, and they're great communicators to the music, and just adhering to the music and doing the best things to create this nice little palette for the song to evolve and play. So
And can I ask something about that?
yeah, Zach.
And in order to be a great communicator, you have to be a great listener as well.
Yeah, so if you couldn't hear him, he said in order to be a great communicator, you have to be a great listener as well. And to be so a little thing about being a great listener in the state of mind, it's like you might want to just be very humble because you have to put other people's voices above yours. Hearing them above you. I like to hear bass above me. Just so that when I start to stretch, I know where things are, and I'm kind of almost listening to him more than I'm listening to myself. That's me personally. It's different for every person, but having a humble ear and being a great listener will make you a great communicator. If you don't even listen, then all that's out the window. So I'll go ahead and we'll play a song that you know. This is All Things You Are. I'll just kind of swing through it. Of course, trio's a little different, so we're playing the melody, and what I want you to listen for is the energy between piano and drums in this setting. And then I have a question for some of y'all as we play this. I want you to ask yourself, what is the drummer comping to or listening to in this setting? So just think about that as we play it. Here we go. Okay, cool. So, first question that we had was, um, what was the drummer comping to, or what did you think he was addressing his comping to? You can just leave them in the chat, um, because that goes to the conversation and the energy that is going around in the rhythm section. Like I said, again, it's a little bit different because we're playing trio. But if you can hear that, then that's a good thing. If you don't know, just guys leave question marks. Excuse me. The other thing, so of course we played the melody, took a couple choruses, and then we went to bass. This has been a big thing that I was in a clinic and it was taught to me, but as I've been playing with bass players, they kind of tell me some other things, and the main thing is you notice how I comp behind the bass solo. A lot of the time, everyone just leaves him hanging. I was talking to a bass player, on a gig last week, and he was like, "I really appreciate the fact that you comp for me. I don't get why everyone leave me hanging, and no one comps for him." My theory is, the bass player is working really hard. We said that he's that canvas keeper, so he's working really hard while everyone solos. He might not even get a solo. There's a lot of great bass improvisers out there, and so that's my concept. Like, I also hear in trio setting, like, great trio players like Bill Evans and Wynton Kelly are comping behind the bass. That's a thing that you hear in recordings a lot. Like, yeah, you can leave them freedom, but I think the bass player will let you know if he wants you to not play behind them. And you're like, how? He'll either give a sense of time or an alternate sense of harmony, to where, like, you'll be like, oh man, I don't know where he went. Should I follow him? The real answer is like, no, it's his solo. Like, he's kind of maybe letting you know that he wants to take it into a different direction, and then I'll lay out and let him go with the bass player and the drummer just do a thing. I think that takes a lot of trust and faith. Also, but with that, you want to trust your musicians, and everyone is responsible for keeping form and time. So it's like, taking a step back. There we go about being humble. Taking a step back and humbling yourself to just, like, simply not play. You're still involved in the music because, especially if you're playing true, you need to know when to come back in. I think a great bass player and great communicative, like, musicians will let you know that when they want to do it. Jason didn't let me know he wanted to. He kind of, like, kept it going, so I tried to leave a nice little palette for him to improvise off of. That way the bass player doesn't feel like, going from walking and holding time, that he has to hold time in his solo, because that's a thing. And the freedom to do that. So I just kind of, and then you say, like, what register for all my pianists that are in here. I move my comping depending on what register the bass is in. If he's in a low register, then I try to, like, do less, like, dense chords in an upper register that won't bleed with his frequencies. And then, especially if you're playing with someone who's, like, on the top of the fingerboard and playing, or they're playing electric and they're playing in the upper register, then I try to leave some type of root. I actually do play root position chords. And some of those voicings we were talking about, piano players from this week, behind him to give a sense of harmony, so he knows where things are, especially if you're, like, reharming things. They can hear these bass movements opposed to just playing rootless voicing. So yeah, Ruth and Jason just said, like, roots are totally appreciated. Like I said, don't leave your bass player hanging. I guarantee you they'll like you. They'll want to play with you a little bit more. And it's fun. You can come up with different interesting things. Sometimes you hear guys, like, literally training, especially in trio setting, trading lines with the bass player in their solo and doing some other things. Bill Evans is really big on that. So that was my approach to that. So here, all right, seems like both of you and the drummer both have your left hand really in sync, and you were both listening to each other's left hands. Boom! There it goes right there. Hey! Woo! That was Sam. Shout out to Sam Sharp. You're absolutely right. When we're playing quartet, the drummer can listen to the pianist as a whole, because both of my hands I'm playing two-hand chords and all that stuff. But when we're playing trio, my left hand is comping for everyone, including myself. So there's two things. As a pianist, and this was a difficult thing for me as a trio, your left hand needs to be pretty constant. You are comping in every. If I didn't have my left hand, I'm always kind of focused on that more than my solo. If my left hand wasn't strong enough, then it doesn't leave anything for the drummer to really grab on. So that's the first thing. And as you listen to trio pianists, I think Keith Jarrett is really great at this. His left hand is like there. And Aaron Parks is really great at this, and Gerald Clayton is like super great at this, where their left hand is like speaking with as much dominance as the right hand in their solo. So it's not all about what your right hand plays. It's all about doing that and then thinking about dropping these chords. So you're absolutely right. The energy is between piano and drums, as me, the harmonic rhythmic instrument, and drums, the more rhythmic, less harmonic instrument. There's that energy there, both rhythmic. And then it says, I always thought they never comped for bass because you can't hear them, at least in the crowd. You can never really hear the bass in the crowd because people are usually talking over them. At least that's my experience.
Sometimes, like, if you've been comping the whole time and, like, there's really loud energy, it's nice when the piano drops out.
Right.
To give you the space to be able to just, like, breathe for a second and bring it down a little bit so you don't have to work as hard and you can, work your way back up.
Right. And I'll just repeat a little bit if you couldn't hear Jason. I'm running from my computer and he's a little bit away. But he goes, sometimes when the energy's high in a song, it's a good feeling to get to the bass solo and the pianist drops out and clears the energy to give it a whole new.
Match the energy of the sax solo or
right.
Whatever you're trying to bring to a new place.
Also, one thing as well, as far as like with the comping with Jason, you don't overcomp either.
Right.
You leave just enough space where it's like, okay, we're here now.
Right.
Okay, and we'll go here. So
exactly.
It's like you don't want to overdo it while he's playing as well. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Right. And Zach was saying, he was commenting on how I'm not trying to overdo the comping for the bass player. And I guess, where's my head? You might not hear, but okay, yeah. The bass is one of those things where, like, especially in a crowd, you might not hear him, but you definitely feel him. And I think there's a lot of factors in that in a live setting, because sometimes people, there's all these jokes about people talking over the bass solo. They go on and on and on and on. But I think that comes into play. As I'm a listener in clubs or environments, it's like, if I key into him, I hear him, I definitely feel him, but it's usually people talking over him that stop me from hearing him more than just, like, the carrying of the frequencies, because bass frequencies do carry. So that's the thing. Everyone reacted really quickly to the change in mood. Yes, that's the communicative thing. We're really listening. I play with these guys, not these guys, but these are my friends, and then I play with them a lot. And so we have this built-in rapport. Like, when you're improvising, you're playing to your personality, whether you realize that or not, or if you're not even aware of that, it's happening. So the more in tune you are with that and how you are and how you like to phrase words, and you hear how I talk, and my playing represents how I talk with these, like, emphasis on weird words, you know what I mean? So, like, I kind of, like, hop around rhythmically and emphasize weird phrases, like, as I listen to myself play that. But I don't run from that because it's just me, and that's what makes me different. And everyone has that, so they have a lot of trust, and I have a lot of trust in them to, like, get lost in the moment, but still have faith that we'll know where things are. So that's kind of the thing about that. Trio is a very intimate thing as well, but this also carries over into the quartet. Let's play it. We're gonna play another one, and I'll switch it up and do a different feel. Okay, so do you want to add anything, Zach? To it? Am I hitting it?
Nah,
I'm hitting it.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, so we'll play another one. I'll just play the first part of Inevitable Truths.
Okay.
Trio thing.
Yeah.
Because I think also the really great thing about a rhythm section is to accentuate the change in moods. When I listen to, my favorite rhythm section is Second Quintet with Miles Davis and Wayne Shorter, and the rhythm section is Ron Carter, Tony Williams, and Herbie's on piano. And all these dudes are great. I like how they change moods all the time and how they are reacting to things, and it gives it a lot of life. While, like, as a listener, you're like, you kind of question where's the form. They take the song to a lot of different places, and I really enjoy that as a listener. They're one of my favorites, and to do that, it's just I think that's just you got to have a lot of faith and trust your guys, and be willing to not always think you're right, because as a soloist, even as in Western music, we're taught in the classical setting as a pianist, if the singer skips a bar or she goes somewhere, what am I going to do? Am I going to continue to play the music and just read it down and be like, you're wrong, where are you? Like, what? It's like, no, you're going to jump to them and make them feel comfortable knowing what's going on. So, like, we should do that in jazz music because that's the art of accompanying. It's their solo. You should go to where they want.
Just like a real conversation, like
Right.
a lot of what you're saying. I mean, the whole idea that you don't necessarily want to think about what you're going to be playing, but like what's more important is hearing what your other musicians are putting out there, and then like having the appropriate response to that.
Right. Huh. Okay, cool. I'll play. We're gonna play another one.
Wait, which one?
I was thinking about Inevitable
Inevitable.
just because of the middle, the change in moods. So
Did you want to do some of your solo sections?
I'm not gonna do the 5 section.
Okay, man.
Actually, we were
Just one
talking.
melody.
See how we're talking about? This is also a good thing. Talk to your rhythm section. You know, like ask your bass player, do you like me comping behind you? Do you know? We're talking about the form of the tune and the thing. So after the solo section, I'm gonna play the melody back again before we go to the 5.
Okay, I think I follow.
You follow me. It'll work. This is a song. It's unreleased. It's Inevitable Truth. It's called Inevitable Truth. I want to play this just because of the mood changes, and you can hear how we react to each other and the things that we allow each instrument to do. So here we go.
Oh, shit.
When I go solo, there's another set of chord changes that enter my piano solo. And then, like, all that is part of the form. When we move to the top or in other sections, like, say, when I'm done, then it's a cue. I usually build my songs with audible cues where there's a specific line that we're looking for that I play, or I maybe look at the guys, and then we move to the next section. I like to build my solo sections like, you think about, like, an enclosed dog park. But the gate, he's running around, and then the gate pops open and we go to the next part. That's the best way I can put that. So we run around. I'm a dog. I run around in the solo, and I'm like, yeah. And then the gate opens, or I cue it, and we open the fence, and I go to the next section, and then we're all there. It's just, I don't know. I kind of like freedom, and then it leaves them open. So in this song specifically, that is the form. To kind of answer your question. And it is a little bit of what you're thinking. Right. Right. Exactly. Okay, sorry, there's two. For Sam, is there a purpose to soloing? Does that even exist? Oh yeah, that totally exists. I mean, the whole purpose I think this changes from person to person, but to me, the whole purpose of soloing and the whole purpose of playing jazz is the yearning to be free musically. It's the freest music. And I know that might sound crazy because then it's like, well, we learn jazz by transcribing and, taking language and like playing solos and all that. But yeah, that's just like to gain language. Just like how you read books and read essays and, you do research to write papers and you learn vocab. Those words aren't yours. You didn't make those up. You didn't make these sentences up. Like, it's part of the language. But I am putting the words together in sentences and saying them the way I want to freely express myself, even right now as we're speaking. So that's the ultimate goal in just playing jazz and improvising. So the main point of improvising is to tell your story. Everyone has their story. And, when you really trust your bandmates, then you can get lost in telling your story and better communicate to the listener what that story is about, opposed to like the soloing's not there, then we just play the melody over and over again and jam out. I'm not singing, so so I think about that as a solo. Like it's more than playing the changes. It's more than playing the swing and getting these things. It's like, yeah, those are there, but this is just the canvas in which I can freely paint my own picture and freely do what I want. And that changes from person to person and from band to band, the level of freedom or how they even communicate. So there is a huge purpose in soloing. Hopefully the solo communicated something to you and I wasn't just random, but that's how I think about it and that's how I listen to it when I hear other people. What do you want the percussionist to do at that point when you go back to the top? Okay, you can tell he's not really necessarily playing a beat, is he? And it might be kind of hard to hear the drums, like to really hear to get the clarity, but he's more or less playing the melody like that. We'll just play. I'll try to play super soft. God, that is hot. That is very hot. Sorry. Okay, I'll play this as quiet as I can, and let's just so you can hear the way the drums are going on this first part. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, right? So I'll stop. So you see, like by the time I drop the next part, that part that we just stopped at, he's playing the groove. That part's in 5. He's playing a 5 groove in the melody, like. And then the first part, he's just playing really the melody with me and coloring it. I'm giving it the harmony and the melodic, but he's hitting those hits and he's phrasing it like that. We battled with this one. This one's been one of the hardest ones for me to play trio, even though I wrote it, because I didn't initially hear a beat with the song. So I definitely wanted drums to just play the melody with me and see how that felt. And then just going back and forth between sections too. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so do you have any other questions? My thing is, okay, so we were talking about that left hand thing, right? Other, I'm like being very vulnerable with y'all. So like the hardest thing about playing this song for me is keeping my left hand going in the 5 while being free with my right hand. Usually I'm playing synthesizer with this too, so it speaks a little differently with this like a linear singular line. I can't split the chords between hands and play and then chord and do all that because my left hand is on a completely different instrument. So that's the thing, and I feel a need to stay in that pocket so that the drummer can add different things. I have to accompany for myself like that. So I'll try to. So here's what I mean by that. Let's drop the 5 real quick and just that little, just play a little bit of it. So one, two, one. That was great. So you even at the last bit of that, like it started to loosen up just a little by the way I was phrasing my right hand, and then like I felt like, oh man, maybe I'm losing it, but you heard the feel from the drums, which is like he's listening to me and hearing all those things, and then like I can focus on my left hand, and boom, we're there, and it straightens it all out again. Um, so like when you ask like what is the purpose of soloing, it's like that's not fun. Like that's the fun part for it to me that keeps that yeah, it keeps us going. I could also not play any of that and see what happens while the form would keep going, and that would be a totally different thing. What do they start to do? But someone I will say like this is also a question that I hear from a lot of young players. It's like the modal thing. What happens when things open up? Like, what do we do? What do I do? What happens in the conversation? Someone's got to stay at home. Somebody. Somebody. Like, if we're playing quartet and I hear, it depends on where the energy is going, a lot of times in quartet, I don't like to play to the soloist. I address my energy to the drummer. I let the drummer play to the soloist, and then I'm playing to the drummer, so we get this communication as as a byproduct of me playing to him, and it trickles down. Right, right. And Jason was saying the steadiness gives it the freedom, especially in modal music. It's like, especially when you listen to Ron Carter, what is he doing? He's pedaling. He's pedaling. And he's not just like boom, 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 boom. He's boom, 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 like rhythmically pedaling with the drummer and communicating with him on a rhythmic side while leaving something steady for the pianist to like put these interesting colors in contrast to the soloist. Like I think about it like that. But who's at home? The bass player. So how do they know when they go back? The bass player is at home. It's when everyone leaves and wants to do their own thing where it becomes a little weird because everyone's got their own sense of time. Everyone's thinking about where everyone's thinking about where the beginning of the form is in a different place. But if someone's at home, sometimes that becomes me as a pianist. I find myself being the person everyone's leaning on, and I know what's going on, and I take that role, and then everyone comes back, and it just makes the music better. Like there's that being humble again. I think that's the overall thing is like, if you're a rhythm section player, be humble. Your first job is to accompany. It doesn't matter if you don't ever solo. You'll get a ton of work if you're a great accompanist. So I think that's the first thing. So here's another. Okay, so here's another one from Sam. Okay, that makes sense. When you're writing a song, how do you control where the energy goes? Woo! Um, I control it. There's a little bit of it. Like some songs are meant to go like through the roof, and some songs aren't meant for that. I think every song has a natural arc, and the musicians give it the energy. How do I control it? It's like I control it by how I choose to play my instrument in a trio setting for sure. Like how do I choose to play piano? I might subdue it by playing soft or not playing 16th note, 8th note lines or playing very inside and not being an instigator rhythmically and really just keeping it straight down the road. And it's like, how do I turn the fire up or let the drummer know that I want to turn the fire up? It's like, I might drop something in my left hand. I might imply things two hand chords and rhythmically to give a different hemiola over what the beat is so that he knows there's that energy between piano and drums. Um, However, I will say this, like I really learned this listening to early Robert Glasper trio. The drummer is the piano player's hype man for sure. Like all the things that I hear on Robert Glasper's first album's Canvas, the first one on Blue Note, and the one before on Mood. What makes all that stuff sound really cool is the drummer is hyping him up. He can sit there and just go, sorry guys. Cool. So, I mean, what am I doing? I'm holding two chords.
Hey Eddie, man, we're out of time.
Sorry.
That's all
That
good.
helps. To where the next record is coming out. We got a single dropping tomorrow, but just stay in contact with me. I'm sorry, we're out of time. I'm gonna do what Marcus asked me to, and try to send some music examples so you can hear these things, and hopefully you walk away with some things that help you just play music better and have fun.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Zach, and thanks, Jason, for doing that masterclass. So yeah, guys, we'll put that. They're gonna re-record those two songs so you can hear it, and then we'll put that in the video when I upload it to YouTube. Speaking of that, I'm starting to upload the videos from day one into YouTube. So I'll email you guys out the links. They're going to be private links. So you guys can go back and watch the master classes, and then they'll be there for the rest of this week, and then 2 weeks after the camp is done, and then I'll take them down. Um, but yeah, so just keep an eye out for that email, and so I'll edit this video and put the recordings where you can hear everyone in them in the video in the middle. So we'll have a master class. And yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you tomorrow, last day of the workshop. What a bummer. So much fun listening and learning from, I learned a lot from my colleagues this week. I hope you guys did too. And what I would just say to you is, if some things were, below your level, it doesn't hurt to go back to the basics. Sometimes I go back to the basics. And then if something was over your head, take what you can and work on the basics and take some notes and then write it down later so that you can have some goals to work towards. So tomorrow we have at 10 a.m. Adam Larson saxophone technique. So all the saxophones will go with him. I will do jazz composition, so I'll talk about my process in composing music. Then at 11, we have Time, Feel, and Groove masterclass with Zach Morrow on the drums, who was just playing with Eddie. Transcription and application of that at 1 o'clock with Stephen Martin, and then at 2 p.m. tomorrow, triad pairs with Adam Larson, we'll close it out. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks, Eddie, man.
All right. Do we need anything before tomorrow?